not in textbooks. Japanese used by men versus Japanese used by women. Hello everyone, I'm Yuri, your Japanese teacher. Today I'd like to talk about the topic, is there a difference between the Japanese that women use and the one that men use?
The Japanese used by women and the one used by men, huh?
Alex-san, have you ever thought while watching anime or dramas that the words women and men use are different?
I haven't really paid much attention, but now that you mention it, I do feel like female and male characters use different kinds of words.
That's right. In textbooks, we usually teach neutral expressions that don't feel out of place, whether used by women or men. But in real conversations, there are words that are often used depending on the gender. Also, in dramas, anime, and movies, expressions that emphasize femininity or masculinity are used to portray characters' personalities. If you use these incorrectly, it might be a bit embarrassing.
I see. I don't want to be thought of as too feminine in front of girls.
Exactly. Also, if you learn the expressions actually used, you will be able to enjoy conversations with Japanese people and anime more. So let's get started. Let's start with the first topic. The first one is personal pronouns.
In English, there is only one I, but are there many in Japanese?
Yes, having many first and second person pronouns is one of the features of Japanese. What first person pronouns do you know, Alex-san?
I learned watashi from the textbook.
Exactly. Japanese learners first learn watashi. It's the most neutral among the many first-person pronouns. And it's very convenient and safe because it can be used regardless of gender, status, or situation.
So it's okay to use it in work conversations with superiors and with strangers.
Yes, that's why it's used in textbooks. Sentences like 私はアレックスです。私は日本に住んでいます。Sounds familiar, right?
Yes, I learned them when I started studying Japanese.
Now let's look at other first-person pronouns. For women, there's 私, which is similar to 私. Unlike 私, it's only used in casual situations and is mainly used by women, especially teenagers and elderly women. It's natural for a high school girl to say, 私、昨日カラオケ行ったんだ.
I see. Watashi and atashi sound almost the same, but there's such a big difference.
There's also uchi. Have you heard of it before?
Yes, but doesn't it mean house?
Yes, it also means house. Uchi originally is a Kansai dialect, first-person pronoun. However, outside of Kansai, it can also be used as a first-person pronoun, especially by women.
I see. If someone says, うち音楽が好きなんだ, and I think uchi means house, I wouldn't understand the meaning.
Exactly. You might misunderstand it if you don't know, so remember it. Next, let's talk about first-person pronouns commonly used by men.
Please, I'm a man, so I'd love to learn.
You love anime, right, Alex-san? Can you remember what male characters in anime call themselves?
I think the male characters in the anime I watch all say ore. Like Luffy from One Piece says, 海賊王に俺はなる. So I thought I should use ore too, but am I wrong?
Well, strong male characters in anime often use ore. There are two common first-person pronouns for men. One is boku, and the other is ore, which you mentioned.
Oh, now that you mention it, I've heard boku too. But aren't they the same?
No, they are different. Boku has a softer and more polite impression. It can be used by boys and adults, but not much by elderly people. Boku is okay to use in work conversations too.
I see. I didn't know that. So how about ore?
Compared to boku, ore is very casual and has a slightly wild image. It's not a very polite expression, so don't use it in work conversations or with superiors. However, it's commonly used in friendly, informal conversations.
I see.
Main male characters in One Piece say ore because they are pirates with a strong image. If Luffy says 海賊王に僕はなる,
It would sound a bit weaker, right?
Exactly. You would want him to say ore to match his character's image. Many adult men switch between boku, ore, and watashi depending on the situation and the person they are talking to. For example, with friends or close colleagues, they might use ore, but in front of their wife's parents, they might use boku, and with superiors or clients, they use watashi. Some people stick with boku all the time. The impression changes with the first person pronoun, so it might be interesting to pay attention to which characters use which pronouns while watching anime.
I'd like to pay attention from now on. By the way, which one should I use?
Watashi can be used anytime, anywhere, and by anyone. So you don't have to force yourself to use boku or ore. It's hard for Japanese learners to judge the appropriate situations, so using watashi is safe. Especially, ore can sound rude in some cases, so unless you are with close friends, watashi or boku would be better.
Got it. It's difficult for Japanese learners to judge the situations. I'll be careful to avoid using inappropriate expressions.
Good, but don't worry too much, as mistakes are part of language learning, and people around you will understand. Just try using it without worrying too much. Let's move on to the second topic. The second one is sentence endings.
Oh, there are so many sentence endings in Japanese. When I first studied, I had a hard time understanding the differences between そうですよ, そうですね, and そうですよね. I still might not fully understand them.
It's different from English. Let's look at how they are different. First, let's talk about sentence endings mainly used by women, such as wa and no yo.
I'm not very familiar with them. How are they used?
For example, このコーヒーおいしい。このコーヒーおいしいわ。These two sentences mean exactly the same. This coffee is delicious, but the second one gives a feminine impression.
I see. How about のよ?
For example, my friend said so. 友達が言っていたよ。友達が言っていたのよ。It's used similarly to wa, but it emphasizes the feeling of I want to convey information that the other person doesn't know.
So the meaning doesn't change much, but it becomes a more feminine expression.
Exactly. Therefore, it's used to emphasize characters in visual works, or to make Japanese subtitles clearer. It's not very commonly used in everyday conversations, especially among young people. Now, let's look at sentence endings commonly used by men. One example is ze. It's equivalent to yo, desu yo, masu yo. In neutral expressions, it has the nuance of conveying information that the other person doesn't know and expressing something assertively. For example, 来年日本に行くよ。来年日本に行くぜ。The meanings are almost the same, but the second one sounds more masculine and assertive.
I've often heard だぜ in anime, so that's what it means. Indeed, it seems like male characters often use it. I'll start using it today.
Wait a moment, it's indeed a male expression, but it can sound a bit pretentious or showy, so be careful. You might not hear it much in everyday conversations.
Oh, then should Japanese learners not use it?
It's okay to use it with close friends. Also, both men and women sometimes use it jokingly, like 今日はたくさん飲むぜ.
It feels like a strong determination to drink a lot.
Exactly. Another one is だろ, which is close to でしょ in casual speech and ですよね in polite speech. このお寿司おいしいですよね。このお寿司おいしいでしょ。このお寿司おいしいだろ。All have the same meaning of isn't this sushi good? Asking for the other's agreement. The first is polite and can be used with anyone. The second is casual but relatively polite. The third is the most masculine and casual. Depending on how it's said, it can sound like you're imposing your opinion, so be careful.
The nuance changes so much with just the sentence ending. It's difficult, but once I understand it, I think I'll be able to enjoy Japanese content even more.
Right. Sentence endings are difficult because they are not in English. Instead of trying to memorize them all at once, listening to how they're actually used and getting used to them is better. Watching anime, dramas, and movies to expose yourself to natural Japanese is important too.
They're not in textbooks, but they're important because they're actually used. I'll have a different way of enjoying anime from now on. Thank you, Yuri-sensei.
How was it? Today we talked about the differences in Japanese used by women and men. Lastly, I want to emphasize that the expressions commonly used by men are often quite casual. So be careful when and where you use them. It's usually inappropriate to use them with strangers, superiors, or in work situations. But since they are commonly heard in dramas and anime, paying attention to these can make Japanese content more enjoyable.
Thank you, Yuri-sensei. I'm glad I learned about differences I hadn't noticed before.
We are distributing a free PDF summarizing today's lesson for review. To get it, add us as friends on our official LINE account through the link in the description below this video and send only the keyword 話す. The PDF will be sent automatically.
Some people might not have the LINE app, but please download it to get the PDF.
Yes, we will continue distributing PDFs of our videos via LINE, so be sure to download it. So, if you thought today's video was even a little good, don't forget to give it a like and leave a comment. It makes me very happy. We will also keep uploading videos that are useful for learning Japanese, so please subscribe to our channel. Well then, see you in the next video. またね!